Lesson 2.5, Model Direct Variation. This is yet another type of linear function. What makes direct variation unique? It'll still have a slope like a linear model, but we're guaranteed to have a y-intercept of 0, 0. That's how you know that x and y vary directly. When asked to determine which of the following represents direct variation, we just want to check for that format. Now, example A, it says y equals 1/3 x. This simply follows the model y equals ax. So this one, represents direct variation. I guess we'll just say something like that. So we don't have any unique transformation for that y-intercept. But example B, 2y minus 8 equals 4x. If you know something is being subtracted, that would no longer hold true for the y equals ax model. So this is not an example of direct variation. When asked to interpret if a graph represents direct variation, again, go to that y-intercept. In example C, notice the y-intercept is right at the origin, or at 0, 0. So yes, this graph represents direct variation. But over on the right, the y-intercept dropped down to -2. Because of that, that is not direct variation. Now we're going to work with creating models using this template, but this is the idea to recognize what type of function we're working with. The a value in the direct variation formula is called the constant of variation. To get a by itself, you'd have to move x to the other side by dividing, and then it becomes y over x, or rise over run. Therefore, the constant of variation is just like the slope of your line. Given a set of ordered pairs, determine if the data in the table shows direct variation. If so, what is the constant of variation? Now remember, by definition, the constant of variation is a equals y over x. If we take a look at our set of ordered pairs here, we would have 9 over 1 for that first ordered pair, y over x. And then does that equal 11 over 2? Right away, we know that that fraction doesn't compare. Therefore, this ordered pair set of values does not model direct variation. But down below, let's see what happens here. Again, if we apply that template, a equals y over x, here we have -1 over 3. And in that second column, we would have -2 over 6. And that checks. -2 over 6 reduces to -1 over 3. -3 over 9 would also reduce to -1/3. -4 over 12. And -5 over 15. Since they all match, this models direct variation. The constant of variation is just what that fraction equals. It would be the slope of our line. Now in that very first fraction, it was simplified to -1/3. Therefore, the constant is just -1/3. Here's another interpretation for direct variation. It says write a direct variation equation that has the given ordered pair as a solution. What is the constant of variation for each equation? Well, if we know 1, 6 is a solution, that means if we substitute in 1 for x and 6 for y, we can easily calculate the constant of variation first. Remember, it's just the definition y over x. And if we take 6 over 1, that means our constant of variation is 6. But our direct variation equation, we have to follow our template. That's direct variation dv. So if we substitute y equals ax, and we know a equals 6, then our direct variation model, where 1, 6 is a solution, is simply y equals 6x. There are infinitely other possibilities, and 1, 6 would work for sure. Now in that second example, kind of that same idea. When x is -3, y is 4. Determine your constant right away by simply doing y divided by x. And here we would get 4 over -3, or -4/3. It really doesn't matter where you put the negative, but there is one negative value. Now for the equation here, Again, if we model that template, y equals ax, our slope or our constant is -4/3. It's pretty simple stuff, actually. There's your direct variation model where -3/4 would be a solution. Another way to model direct variation is to write your equation and then find a new value. So this is going to be one of those two-part questions that we have to remember to follow the directions on. The first thing you want to do, just like we did up above, is determine your A value. What is your constant of variation? The second thing you'll want to do is just plug it into that direct variation template. So find A, plug it in, and then if you're asked to plug in one of the values, either X or Y, you can solve for the other missing value. Here's what it looks like over on the right. The variables X and Y vary directly. So this right away indicates we're using direct variation. Write an equation that relates X and Y. Then, make sure to bubble the then, find Y when X equals 12. So that's going to be the second part. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, step 1, is calculate our A value. Remember, A equals Y over X. And here we have -2/4, which reduces to -1/2. Step 2, substitute it into the direct variation template. And we get Y equals -1/2 X. There's your direct variation equation. That's one answer. We get to the then, it says then find Y when X equals 12. So now we're going to plug in when X equals 12. I'm just going to substitute that into the formula. Now it's just algebra 1. -1/2 times 12 would be -6. So when X equals +12, Y equals -6. Done, just like that. Over on the right, we know we're going to have fractions at some point, so we might as well just get that out of the way right now. When X equals 1/2, Y would equal 3/4. To show that these model direct variation, let's first calculate our constant by doing Y over X. Now remember, anytime we have a fraction divided by a fraction, we model that keep, switch, flip rule. Keep the top fraction, switch to, whoa, not that. Hang on, time out. All right, time back in. So keep the top fraction, change divide to multiply, and then flip that bottom fraction, 2/1. Looking at this product, I notice the 2 goes into itself once and into 4 twice. Therefore, 3 times 1 in the numerator is 3, and 2 times 1 in the denominator is 2. A equals 3/2. Now we're going to substitute that in to the second part. Y equals AX. Just plug that in right there. And we have Y equals 3/2 X. There's our direct variation equation. Make sure to have all of this written down so that when it comes time to practice this, you have templates to follow. Last but not least, find Y when X is 12. We're just going to plug in 12 to our formula. Y will equal 3/2 times 12. I'm going to put 12/1, and then let's see what we can do here. I have 3/2 and 12/1. I recognize that 2 will go into 12 evenly 6 times, and 3 times 6 is 18. That's what Y will equal when X is 12. No lesson is complete without an application problem. Hailstones form when strong updrafts support ice particles high in the clouds, where water droplets freeze onto the particles. The diagram shows a hailstone at 2 different times during its formation. Write an equation that gives the hailstone's diameter d in inches after t minutes if you assume the diameter varies directly with the time the hailstone takes to form. Oof, that's a lot of words. Take a moment and read that again. Write an equation that gives the hailstone's diameter after t minutes if you assume the diameter varies directly with the time the hailstone takes to form. What I would underline here is diameter varies directly with time. So if we think about Y equals A times X, diameter is the output. Time is the input. Over time, the diameter changes size. So in this example, we would convert this to D equals A times T. Now we want to write a direct variation model. So we need to calculate A. That's step 1. A would then equal D over T instead of Y over X. Now over on the right-hand side, we have two scenarios, the one on the bottom and the one on the top. It says after 12 minutes, the diameter is 0.75 inches. But we have a question mark up here. So we can't use that bigger Hailstone set of data for this problem. Therefore, we'll use the first one. A equals 0.75. Whoopsie, I gotta write that up there. 0.75, there we go, over 12. 0.75 over 12, that's the same as 3/4 divided by 12, which would be the same as 3/4 times 1/12. And that gives us 3 over 48, which actually reduces to 1/16. There's our constant of variation. Now, for full credit, we have to plug it back in to actually create the equation. That's kind of our step 2. D equals A, which is 1/16 times T. That's the function of the diameter over time. And now we get to our first thinking question. Explain in words what the constant of variation means for this problem. What do we know about that 1/16? What's the connection for time and diameter? This is what I want you to try to come up with. Can you justify what's happening with that 1/16? I want you to write that down and we'll talk about it before our assignment in class. All right, so you think about that. We're going to drop down to C for now. Use your equation from part A. Predict the diameter of the hailstone after 20 minutes. So if 20 minutes is what we know, that's the T or time variable. And we're just going to substitute that in. D equals 1/16 times 20, and I'm going to write 20 over 1. And that's literally just 20 over 16, which reduces to 5 over 4, or 1 1/4. Now, the diameter is labeled in inches, therefore our answer must be labeled as well. And that's how big the hailstone would be after 20 minutes. All right, last question. Suppose the hailstone forming in a cloud has a radius of 3.6 inches. How long has it been forming? Well, here's the thing. Radius is related to a piece of hailstone. It's like a sphere, but our formula works with diameter. So if the radius is 3.6, what would the diameter be? We're just going to multiply that by 2. So it'd be 7.2. Then we're going to plug that in on the left-hand side and then solve for T on the right-hand side. To get T by itself, I'm just going to multiply by 16 over 1, which is the reciprocal. Cancel that out. And our time would be 115.2, and our label is minutes. That hailstone's been kind of forming for quite a while. Must be a pretty big thunderstorm. All right, there we have it, everybody. That's lesson 2.5.